The sheer scope of how much money President Trump has made in office can be kind of hard to fathom. But think about it like this. In the last year Trump was out of office in 2024, he was still making a ton, $622 million. But his first year back in the White House, that tripled to more than $2 billion, in large part thanks to his enormous and controversial cryptocurrency investments like World Liberty Financial, which raked in $799 million last year, with sales of the company's crypto tokens and his own Trump meme coin, all worth $636 million alone. Here with me to discuss that and more, Massachusetts Democratic Senator Ed Markey. Senator, good to have you. Thank you for being with us. Democrats have pushed for years for more disclosures, tougher ethics rules. It has not seemed to work. What do you do to stop this grift?
Well, obviously, Trump has been engaging in an all-you-can-eat corruption buffet. And today's report is just further evidence of that. $2 billion in 1 year as president of the United States. That's just a classic case of insider trading. He's just making money over on all of the insider information which he and his family members have. And that's just absolutely outrageous. I'm actually the author of the Insider Trading Act of the United States of America. That is just plain wrong, what he is doing. Public office is a sacred trust. You're supposed to be working to help every other family meet their needs rather than self-enrichment. But it's very clear that's who Trump is. And today he's flying around in a gift from the Qatari government. The Air Force One is a gift from a foreign nation, an oil and natural gas producing nation. That is all part of this incredible picture of corruption, which is the Trump administration for his cronies, for his children, for his corporations, and for himself.
Maybe that all-you-can-eat buffet you referenced is where your Republican colleague got those lobster tails he was teasing for 4th of July. Reporters asked the president about his financial disclosures today. Let's take a listen, and then we'll talk about it on the other side.
Hey, Mr. President, your financial disclosure shows you had a very lucrative year last year. What message does this send to average Americans, especially those who may be struggling right now financially?
I don't get involved in my personal. We have funds that run my money.
To critics who say you're profiting off the presidency, Mr.
Well, you know why I'm profiting? Because the stock market's going up. Everybody's profiting. Do you have a 401k? How's your 401k done? It's about up 85%. Thank you, President Trump. So we're all profiting. I'm profiting because I have a lot of money and a lot of cash.
Okay. A lot of people do not have money in the stock market or in 401ks. Everybody is not profiting. Everybody is paying more for gas at the pump. Everybody is paying more for beef at the supermarket. How do Democrats highlight the disconnect that the president thinks you're doing fine out there because I'm doing fine?
Yeah, these are individual investments which Donald Trump made last year. And he has been able to see an incredible windfall profit to himself personally. And this doesn't even count all the rest of his family members and cronies, Albania or other countries around the world where they're moving in. This is just a perfect example of him being the corruption commander in chief. That's who he is. And everything he does is towards his own self-enrichment rather than dealing with the fact that gasoline prices are up, food prices are up, healthcare costs are up, electricity prices are up. That's what people want the president of the United States to be working on every single day. And he has failed on that mission for every other family in our country. And that is why people are angry. And we're seeing it at the polls in state after state after state. Trump is enriching himself at the expense of the American people, the policies that should be guiding our nation. He's compromising them in order to, in fact, himself get richer while everyone else in the country is getting poorer by the day. And he thinks that his enrichment is somehow or other being enjoyed by every other American. It is just the opposite. They are having a hard time meeting their monthly bills for everything. And that's why these Republicans at the House and Senate level are going to pay a huge price on Election Day this year.
Senator, let's talk about what we saw this week from the Supreme Court just hours after yesterday's birthright citizenship ruling came down. The Trump Justice Department directed prosecutors to target, quote, birth tourists or foreign nationals who arrive in the United States pregnant and give birth here. They are not satisfied by what they got yesterday from the Supreme Court. They are not going to stop simply because the Supreme Court says that birthright is, in fact, constitutional. What the Justice Department is suggesting actually look like in practice, and what can you do to push back?
This is just a continuation of the Trump administration attempts to make America great again by making America hate again. What they did last Friday in the Supreme Court decision, saying that 350,000 Haitians have to leave our country and its protections in order to go back to a country where our American citizens are told it's too dangerous to go. Yesterday, the Supreme Court decision on demonizing transgender kids. And today, they're seeking, again, just to keep this issue of hate, of discrimination, of an attempt to demonize others in order to distract from the affordability crisis which we have in our country. So they are just going to continue this all the way to Election Day. But it was very clear yesterday that the Supreme Court ruled that you cannot change the United States Constitution with a Sharpie. And they struck that down. And all they're trying to do today is just keep some life in this issue, but it's not going to work because the American people can see, in fact, how their lives are absolutely being negatively affected by the cost of living issues, the inflation issues, the affordability issues that are at the core of what it is that they have to deal with every single day.
Senator, I only have about 30 seconds left, but I do have to ask you, in light of this week's rulings from the Supreme Court about court expansion, I know it's an idea that you have supported in the past. You still have a lot of Democratic colleagues who are not there. Is this a conversation you're having inside the caucus?
Yes, I am the author of the court expansion bill. The Republicans stole two Supreme Court seats in 2016 and 2020. That's what's giving them their supermajority. The only way to solve this problem in a very short period of time is expand the Supreme Court by 4 seats up to 13. That would then restore the 7-6 majority, which should be in place right now. And we have to fight for that, and we can do that statutorily. It does not require a constitutional amendment. That has to be at the top of the agenda, and that's what I'm talking to my colleagues about right now.